Okay, so, well, it's an interesting spot. I mean, definitely putting the pressure on. Getting in for maybe as much as 10 here. Brow almost certainly can't jump block because you need the cost reduction too much with this Thalia in play. So really asking the question, but not sort of slamming the door. So, you know, high tide, turnabout, start doing crazy things. And it's going to be a second copy of High Tide in the top 8. The Watch Wonder already in top 8 with an 6-1 finish in the Swiss. Maybe as high as second place. Haven't looked into the math of how many X2s are going to make it. Presumably we just over the line to 7 rounds, or a little bit over the line, so maybe not that many X2s, maybe not any. But certainly the winner of this is in the top 8. And it's probably all about this turn. We haven't done a lot of digging, cast a strategic planning and a Baral. So we may not even have a high tide, may not have a fourth land. Can't really pass the turn and expect to live. If we don't have a fourth land, we can't turn about, we can't mass bounce. I don't think a strategically placed repeal and a chomp block even does it, but maybe it does. Can only bounce a 1-drop if we don't have a fourth land. One curly boy having a good old think, which is never quite clear what that means. Slaughter Pact on Thalia. Wow, I did not know that they played that. That is kind of awesome technology. Well, now you get the real cost reduction of Baral. So I hope you have a high tide. Oh, no. Just literally figured that we cannot win. We cannot survive next turn, so we must, go for it in some way. So we've played this kind of lethal to us Slaughter Pact. Looks like there is no fourth land. I don't know why you wouldn't have played an island by now if you had an island. So this has to be high tide hidden strings. Something along those lines would start the ball rolling nicely. Oh, wow. That is fancy. I don't know if it does anything, but I was mocking the whole cipher situation as irrelevant, and it immediately becomes relevant.
Well, it matters for Mind's Desire because they cast another spell.
Yeah, it's not nothing. It's not nothing. It's not much, but it's not nothing. Oh gosh.
Oh.
This is just, I don't even know what this could be. So they get land high tide, they play the land, they cast high tide, they have another hidden strings, and then they begin to go crazy. Is the dream here. There is a possibility both these decks make top 8, but losing is definitely extremely detrimental to your chances compared to being mathematically certain.
I think if they had another hidden strings, they cast it to untap 2 lands and cipher both of them to Brawl to up their storm count.
Yeah, you might be right. So turnabout does nothing here because there's no way to get to enough mana. And can you do anything without an untap with 2 lands? I don't think so, right? So they kind of have to have both high tide and hidden strings. But they clearly didn't have the land, so the dig through time can't provide both. So yeah, it seems like a dead end. The Thalia problem, despite being beautifully dealt with by Slaughter Pact, was maybe enough of a slowdown to not let them dig to a high tide, to not let them win on tide. Yeah, there's the GGs. Okay, so probably not 2 copies of High Tide in the top 8, but maybe. let's continue scrolling down the standings and see if we can find another game that is still going that has some top 8 contenders in it. So it looks like Robbie 2540 versus Final Defiance is still going and is a winning into top 8 with, you know, outside chances of sneaking in with a loss, same as that previous, although tiebreaker is slightly worse here. Let me show it to you. There it is. So it is the classic matchup, the now classic matchup. Orzhov Control on one line versus Mono White Humans with one non-man permanent. I guess with the Kaya, this definitely favors Black-White. They have an answer to the Veteran Survivor in play in the form of Blast Zone, if nothing else, but Kaya's Guile making a 1-1 and gaining 4 life. Wow. Very not afraid of instant speed removal here. I don't even know what instant speed removal there is in White that works in this scenario. So why not have the life? Yeah, fair enough. Is that different to sacrifice a creature? I guess they could Cathar Commando in the guy. I'm gonna go on sign up for a moment while I figure out my room service guy. Hello. Yes.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
My pleasure. May I come in?
Yes, please do.
Thank you. Better with my stuff. So as you can see, we have the Russian salad, sauce on the side, margarine shirt, potato salad, as well as chicken quesadilla.
Great.
Alright.
I shall not be hungry. Thank you.
My pleasure. Would you like me to push this a little bit?
No, it's fine.
Perfect.
Okay.
And if you want the dishes out, you could call us or you can leave it outside.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Would you like your copy?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alright, I have returned. I think I probably recorded my interactions with the lady for OBS purposes, so that'll be probably the highlight of the whole tournament, commentary-wise. What happened here? Life total has gone up for Black-White. Some mediocre creatures have been deployed. Castle Arden Vale is doing its thing. There's a Shambling Vent, there's a Kaya, there's 2 cards in hand. Presumably that's plenty enough to overcome, you know, Castle Arden Vale making a 1-1 every turn or whatever it is. I guess this is a non-Lurus version of Humans. Oh no, Lurus is in the graveyard. So that's been and gone as a thing. And we're going to just, slam the door with this Elspeth Sun's Champion. What's even good now for Humans? I guess the Flying Manland is like semi-mediocrely okay, but it actually can't do anything next turn because it will just come in tapped with Summoning Sickness. So yeah, this is pretty hopeless. So it looks like there's going to be at least one. Just checking the record. PD bot is not here. But probably at least one Black-White in the top 8, which as we all know is very dangerous because they have a tendency to win this tournament, or at least it's happened a few times, including last time, I think. Now, Castle Arden Vale was kind of weak in comparison to Elspeth Sun's Champion. Different, mana costs and deck building costs and so on. Ooh, brave the elements to take out the Elspeth. It's not lethal, but it does take out the Elspeth. That's probably not good enough, but it's kind of cute. Brave the Elements has been great this tournament. We've seen it do a lot of crazy things. Elspeth down. So just when you think the door has been slammed, Magic will remind you that it's a very complicated game and it's not that simple. Still, I like Shambling Vent, 3 1-1s and a Blast Zone on 2 against this board just fine. Although they are down to one card now. You've got to get Aspirant before combat here, have you? Oh, you cannot both animate Shambling Vent and sack the Blast Zone unless you do it after the Shambling Vent is blocked by tapping the Shambling Vent. So that's a slight wrinkle in the kind of obvious play. They've decided that their 1/1s are good enough blockers with on 9 life. They don't need to Shambling Vent this turn. Let's just not have an Aspirant counter. Decent attacks here now then for the 2/2s and even the 1/1. We can trade it off, why not? But definitely the Shambling Vent is looking good. Probably just trade off as much as you can here, you know. Even just a 2/2, whatever the card in hand is, and the castle activation. But Black-White themselves are down to a Shambling Vent and 1 card, plus their draw step. Does seem to me that even that's just maybe good enough. It's interesting to think what the card in hand might be. It could be a land. You know, plains. You would play the manland for sure. Could be a brave. I don't know what else it could be. It's not Horn of Gondor, which I guess would be pretty sweet here. Tapping the castle for something. Okay, Thalia's Lieutenant. In response, make a token, perhaps? Nope. So 3/3 is big enough to get in through the Shambling Vent if you got nothing. If you spend a Condemn on my token, that's fine. Final Defiance looking for, you know, a Planeswalker or something to really... Obviously they have the better top decks. But right now they're going to 4. Looks like they drew a land. Might have just been a land they were holding. Oh. Well, Dam is good. Maybe really good, but not game ending. We've got a 1/1 here. It looks like it has a good attack into a 3 life total player. I can't think of an actual lethal draw here, but certainly something that makes it a 2/2 is good. Two cards in hand. I kind of suspicious that one of them is Brave the Elements, but I may have become Brave the Elements and settled the Wreckage Brained during the course of this tournament. Ah, perhaps this is what we were holding, and we think now, as it's going to, you know, double the speed of the clock, as it were, that it's worth just deploying. I mean, opponent goes to 2, can make a 1/1 for free, there's a card in hand. Dare we say maybe we're going to win the late game against Black-White. A lot of great draws for Black-White, and this Shambling Vent remains a problem. The Hopeful Initiate would get pumped by attacking with this token. A tap Godless Shrine implies that was the draw for the turn. So it's really Shambling Vent against the world. Something like Thalia's Lieutenant, Brave, off the top is just game. Wait, is Thalia's Lieutenant game? I get to block with the Shambling Vent. Anyway, all to play for. Not a lot of instant speed stuff for Shambling Vent. Okay, well, that's very, very good. Next turn, can tap the Shambling Vent when it once it's become a creature before it gets to block. But we have just exposed our game-winning board to another Wrath or any kind of 6, 7, 8, 9 drop off the top or whatever it is. Don't know the exact build Final Defiance is playing. I don't know if they have the 7 mana Kaya other things that would be pretty scary. Actually, I'm not sure exactly if 7 mana Kaya stabilizes here. Elspeth's Sun's Champion. Pretty strong. Is it good enough? Well, we've passed the turn. So everybody attacks except Giant Killer. If you try and animate your Shambling Event, I'll tap it once it's a creature. Seems game winning against most stuff. An Entwined Kaya's Guile might be good enough. Here's the vent activation. Here's the tap, presumably. And it looks like we have... match tied 1-1. So, no top 8 finality here. We get to play another of the classic PD match. I mean, nobody ever played Black-White Control in PD for like 28 seasons, but now it's the premier control deck of the format for a couple of years. If you told me when I was reading Binary's Reddit post 9 years ago that Black-White Control was going to have a long period of dominance, I would have laughed at you. But here we are. Although, I think at the time I was just fixated on the fact that Sulfuric Vortex was legal. And it just seemed like you could build basically a Red Deck Wins that was kind of like a Red Deck Wins cube deck. And nothing could stand against it. Then I played some games and found out that I was wrong. And here we are. So, I guess this already was a sideboarded match. Interesting that Giant Killer is in post board. I don't know if there's an Obsidian to snag with it, or if it's literally just for tapping Shambling Vents. Certainly there's Dams, Blast Zones, Wrath of Gods, Kaya's Guiles, Elspeth, and I see a Death Mark in the graveyard there. It's pretty great against the Champion of Parish start in your deck that's kind of otherwise a little bit full of 3s and 4s and even 6s. Being able to stay afloat through the early start. Black-White on the play. That's got to help. Really has got to help quite a lot. So we'll see. I wonder if it's clear what else has made top 8. We should start compiling a list. Definitely a High Tide. Definitely at least one Black-White, I think. And one Humans. Ice Shuffler lost. One Curly Boy lost. I think that might be it for what I know right now. Other things in contention, that Beaker's Mono Red, aggro but with Lelia and Party Thrasher. Resto Kiki was at 4 and 2. There's actually only 6 people at X1 before this round and 2 at XO. And of course half of all of those lose. So, you know, people who started this round 4 and 2 can, if my addled brain is mathing correctly after 7 rounds, can make it with good breakers. Because there's only going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players at X1 or better. Might be some wiggling pair down, but probably not. So it's probably 3 X2s making it. Possibly some of the people we've seen lose here. So it could be 2 High Tide in top 8, could be 2 or more White-Black, could be 2 or more Humans. And a couple of Blue-Red Control. Cassia Edu is in with Blue-Red Control. So yeah. I think, so no, I don't see any auras in contention, but I haven't gone down every list of everyone who's X2 or better. And they can all theoretically make it with the right swings in tiebreakers. I don't know why this sideboarding is taking this long, but I guess maybe on play draw is different, or people are restarting Magic Online for the lag or whatever it might be.
It is a tricky matchup for sideboarding. You can bring in the White Force, but then still lose to Languish. You're not sure if you keep in the Giant Killer for the Cycling Dragon or not.
Oh, the dragon is what Giant Killer is still in for. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. I keep it in while sideboarding at least.
I mean, it was great here, but I think tapping the Shambling Vent when everyone's out and I've just got some 1/1s is like only a sometimes occurrence, but yeah. No, I mean, is this matchup just even, or I think it's maybe favored for humans, right? Thalia really screws with their ability to kind of deploy their spells in a timely fashion, and you can just overrun them. If you miss your 4th land drop, you're essentially dead. Your 4-mana Planeswalker is not that great. Swiss Sun's Champion is that great, but that's so far from the beginning of the game. You've got to survive all these Champion of the Parishes.
I don't think anyone is making top 8 with auras.
No, I don't see anyone who I've seen playing it in the X2s or better. I see a bunch of humans. Oh, what about Enakas? Was Enakas on auras? I don't know. We'll see.
No, they're on White Weenie.
Alright.
I think the matchup is about even or so. Especially after sideboarding, if the black-white deck has timely reinforcements or death marks.
Yeah. Timely reinforcements, pretty good. Just bridging to the Wrath or the second Wrath or whatever, pretty crazily useful thing to do.
Yeah, I barely won my match against Borzov Control, just because they didn't have any 1-mana removal for Thalia.
Did you win round 7? Did you win round 7?
Yeah, I'm 5-2.
So if you have a miracle tiebreaker reverse, you will go from 21st to 8th or something. Could happen.
I doubt it, but we'll see.
We'll see. Okay. Starting to think Magic Online is just not showing me game 3, so I'm going to fiddle with everything, possibly pointlessly. No, maybe they're just still sideboarding. Let me reshare. Yoink, yoink. An even more interesting screen than the end of the previous game is the constructed -seating : never read that before. That's what it says at the top of this screen. So Final Defiance is sitting above the orange bar, and Robbie 2540 is sitting below the orange bar. Okay, it's pretty good. It's all kind of cruft in this program. It hasn't really been examined by anyone for some time. So it's the top 8 that we definitely know: a blue-red control, a humans, and a high tide. Is there anything confirmed other than that, to anybody's knowledge? I also get the impression this game is somehow going on and just not being shown to us. Can that happen? Maybe.
I think. Wait, what were the confirmed?
Garcia Edu on blue-red. Whoever Garcia Edu played in the last round, which I should really know because we watched it, but that one gamer for 202, which is what, humans? You on high tide. That's it. That's all I know, I think.
Shadowmaker is on White Weenie.
And they're in? They won?
Yeah.
Okay. And winner of this.
I'm also surprised by the lack of the Aura's deck in top 8. It's a very powerful deck. They kind of have all the cards they could want except something like Benevolent Bodyguard.
It just absolutely stomps if it's allowed to do its thing, you know. But maybe enough people had
The
enough
final
good plans.
Defiance match versus Robbie is playing. They're on turn 8 right now. So if you
Okay.
close out and reopen, you might better get into it.
I already did that once, but I'll do it again. If not, I'll restart Magic Online.
Final Defiance has 1.5 minutes left.
I know I lost one of my matches to lag. It's unfortunate, but it'll happen to anyone.
Yeah, it hasn't been so bad for me today, but it's annoying for it to have its shadow over the tournament.
It only took 5 minutes or so. I had to beat the Aura's deck by locking them out of the game with Sanctum Prelate on 2, plus Ether Sworn Canonist, plus Hopeful Initiate.
Yeah, we watched that. You were on a very low life total, and they had like a 9-11 and a this and a that, and it seemed like you were dead, and you kind of slowly figured out a way to contain it, but yeah, you just didn't have the time. It was very sad.
Mm-hmm.
Is that one gamer on Orzhov Human?
I don't think Orzhov,
It looks like
but I might be wrong.
it has to be Orzhov.
Okay. Magic Online is slowly, you know, we'll get the last 8 seconds of this game up in a sec. It's letting me click things. Freeform Tournament Practice, the home of high-level magic. Bringing it up. Watch game. Yes, that's what I already said. Watch game. You don't need to show me a big button that says watch game. I want to. I'm in. I'm there. Oh my god. Main navigation is not responding. Okay. Let me bring it up.
Well, Final Defiance has under 1 minute left.
Yeah. This is, well, you're going to watch the best 60 seconds of magic that's ever happened. Coming up. I don't really know what it is they do here that wins them the game, but it's going to happen. I guarantee it. You have my personal guarantee. Looks like, yeah, looks like just die. Okay, well, that was that. Let's see if there are any other matches still going. Looks like maybe not. Oh no, I see MTG Fan 9. Oh no, that's just ended. I think that was it. So I'm gonna stick my head in a bucket and then come back and stream the top 8 once it's determined, which should happen any second now. See you in a minute.